Hello everyone, and welcome to Retro Brick Reviews, where today I am very excited to be bringing you my in-depth analysis of LEGO Harry Potter set number 75968 for Privet Drive. This set includes 797 pieces, 6 minifigures, 2 owls, and it will release on June 1st in most of the world. But if you live in the US, as I do, you will have to wait until either July 1st or August 1st. The date isn't fully known yet. And when the set releases, it will retail for about $70 US, 65 Great British Pounds, or 70 Euro, depending on where you live. And this set is a bit of an outlier in this wave, because while all the other sets that we're getting in this first wave, those being the Burrow, the Astronomy Tower, the Room of Requirement, and the Forbidden Forest, those are all based on films 5 and 6. This set is based on a combination of the Philosopher, Sorcerer's Stone, depending on where you live, and the Chamber of Secrets, so films 1 and 2, which is an interesting change of pace, and one I actually quite like, since it just adds variety. And, it just helps things to be a bit less monotonous, because it was annoying, for example, how last year, because we got so many sets based on films 3 and 4, just off the top of my head, we got the same exact Harry figure from Prisoner of Azkaban in 3 sets. So, again, just nice to have a bit of a mix-up, And the box art is relatively standard. They are still using the same stock art of Harry, Ron, and Hermione from the Order of the Phoenix, which works for all the other sets in this wave, but not so much this one. And quite interestingly, if you look in the background, you can see that in the background of number 4 Privet Drive, they just have several more copies of the same set. I suppose to just show off how Privet Drive is a quite unremarkable building in reality. It's just a very generic, nice-looking, but overall generic British townhouse. Going into the set picture, you can see that the main build is number 4 Privet Drive. However, as a side build, you do get a new version of the Flying Ford Anglia. And when I say new, I mean they made a couple of minor changes that might make it look better. Honestly, I prefer the 2018 version. And yeah, getting a second version only 2 years after the 2018 version is not the greatest. Although, to be fair, hardcore LEGO Star Wars fans probably have to put up with this very often, with stuff like the Snow Speeder and Luke's Land Speeder. So, still though, as someone who's not nearly as much into LEGO Star Wars, this is a bit unfortunate, and I know that it's because originally the Whomping Willow set was supposed to be retired by this point, but even then, even if the set was retired, it's still just unfortunate to have a remake this soon. And I just wanted to get that out now. But aside from that, you do get a couple of small side builds, those being the floating pudding that Dobby drops on Mrs. Mason, who was not included in the set, but you do get the pudding. And you also get the Privet Drive sign, which I think is very important, since that sign is what we see in the very first shot of the very first movie. It has a nice sticker, and you have an owl on top that we'll get a better look at later. The house itself, though, from the exterior, is very well detailed, even if it is designed to be quite plain. They managed to make it look like a very good plane, if that makes sense. Just looking at the roof, for example. They could have easily just done it in a much simpler fashion, either by just straight up having just a slanted plate like they do on, say, the Great Hall, or by just doing that, but with some tiles on some of it to give the sort of layered design, or just do this with slope bricks all the way across. But no, they used a whole bunch of 1x3 sloped bricks to create this unique, just this very good tiled layered design for the roof, and it looks phenomenal in my opinion. Very simple, but very good. Up at the top, you have the chimney, and then just on the front of the house, you'll notice that it is primarily light tan, but you do have some dark tan highlights, which is actually quite accurate to this style of house, which I think it looks quite good overall. Maybe in some places there should have been less of the full 1x2 mason brick pieces and more of just the single 1x1 and 1x2 tiles, but overall I think it looks quite nice and is pretty accurate. You have several sets of windows. Out front you have a large topiary, as well as just some flowers around the door and under the windows. And for the door itself, you have a good sticker with all the letters popping out of the mail slot, which is pretty cute and a good reference to the first movie. And then, next to that, you have my biggest complaint with the whole set, which is that number 4 on the 1x1 tile, because we know, because the sticker sheet leaked before we even saw the set itself, we know that that's going to be a sticker. A round sticker. A round 1x1 sticker, even. Why couldn't that have just been a print? They print that piece so much. Why did it have to be a sticker? That is going to be such a pain. But anyway, you can also see that you have the gutter on the side. I don't think that's the right word, but you know what I'm talking about. And then on the side of the house, you have the bars over Harry's window, and if you've seen the movie, you know where this is going. You can just attach the chain you have on the back of the car to the bars and yank them out. Turning around to the exterior of the house, this is again a very good design. Like, the interior is very spacious. Like, if you look down to the bottom part of the set, you have a depth of, I believe, 11 studs for that interior, which is just crazy, and so much better than you see on a lot of sets that are even much larger than this. Like, just going back to last year, the Hogwarts Clock Tower only had a depth of a maximum of 5 studs, but really only 4 in most cases were actually usable. So yeah, that's very impressive. Up top, you do have a depth of much less. That actually is only 5, but there is a lot of open space up there. But anyway, go into more details. On the top floor, it is pretty much exclusively dominated by Harry's bedroom, which of course used to be Dudley's second bedroom. And that is a very well-furnished area. You have a sticker on the wall for some of Harry's drawings of Hogwarts stuff. On his desk, you can see a sticker of a picture of Harry's parents given to him by Hagrid at the end of the first movie. You have Harry's bed for Dobby to bounce on, which is very important. If I had to have one complaint, it's weird that you don't get Harry's lamp for Dobby to smash his head into. Like, I kind of get why, because I guess that is a bit violent, maybe, but, like, come on, Lego, it's cartoon violence. You can include the lamp. But, yeah, Harry's room is quite nice for what it is. Going down below, though, you have the sitting room on the right, which, again, due to the depth, you actually can have a full room where you have the armchair, and you can also have the couch, and they're facing opposite directions. That's really nice, and something that you really don't see very often at all, outside of, like, $200 modular buildings, and even then, those sometimes don't even have stuff like this. Above the fireplace, you have a family picture, and you can see that there is a gear you can turn to drop letters out of the fireplace. And I'll go more into that feature later, but yeah, the set includes a few letters, and you can just have them splay out onto the floor, which works well enough. I mean, ideally, there would be a way to shoot them out with a bit more force. My mind goes back to the Ninjago City set from the Ninjago movie, where if you remember, that set had an ATM design that just launched out $100 notes with the might of Zeus. So something like that for the letters would have been pretty funny, so you could just obliterate Uncle Vernon with the power of, I don't know, paper cuts, I guess. But, yeah, this still works quite well for the play function, and I guess the thing is that the set does only include 3 letters, and yeah, I think what we're all going to do is just shove as many 1x2 tiles into the chimney as will fit, and then just see what'll happen from there, because I feel so you can definitely get more than 3 with that play feature. But anyway, then on the left, you have the stairs, which are accurately colored, although it is a bit unfortunate how they are the depth shifts, where at the bottom they're 4 studs wide, but then up more towards the top they're 3 studs wide. Would have been better if they would have just kept it 3 studs the whole way, honestly. But anyway, under the stairs, you do have the cupboard under the stairs, but how to access that? Well, there's just an opening hatch on the side of the house that allows you access. It's pretty simple. You just have a little mattress for Harry to lie on. You have some tools in the side, since it is a cupboard after all. And, while it's not visible here, on the side of the wall where Harry's feet currently rest, there is a sticker with his toy knights, which is a nice touch. Maybe they could have put a spider in here, because as we all know, Harry's cupboard was absolutely infested with spiders, but there's so little room in here that I think it's fine that they didn't include one. Here we can see a bit more on how the letter feature works, where you have a little slot to pop a letter into the side of the house, to put it in the chimney slot, and then you can just turn that gear to drop it out into the house, onto the rug. Here you can also get a good look at a potted flower on the side of the couch, as well as you can see the side of the stairs with the very small door to the cupboard with a sticker for the grate, as well as the sticker that goes on the inside of the door showing the boarded up mail slot. Here we have a more close-up look at the new design for the Flying Ford Anglia, where we can see a couple of the minor changes they've made, the most notable being that the hood, while the previous version was just a single 4x4 single-piece solution, this design is a bit more complex, using a 4x3 hood piece with 1x2 tile on it, and then some 1x2 sloped pieces, and I don't like this design as much. Like, it is studless, and that's nice, but you just have that weird ridge, where you just have the 1x2 tile that just isn't curved like everything else, so in my opinion, that's a miss. The roof is now square. It is a 6x6, because they have changed up the proportions a little bit. However, if you look at the side, you can see that they now have stickers for the slanted parts instead of just using bricks, and even though the white part of the roof is just a square, you have cheese slopes on the back that still jut out a bit further. So, again, bit of a miss. I don't like this version of the car as much as the 2018 version. Also, the boot's designed a bit differently to allow you to have the chain coming out, so at least that's practical, but overall, this car, in my opinion, just doesn't work as well as the 2018 version, and it's unfortunate, because they could have at the very least finished the interior so you could have Harry and Ron side by side. Nope. I mean, at least according to this picture, you can stagger them. In the original version, you pretty much just had to have them standing Harry right behind Ron, so this is an improvement, but not a great one. Now, the minifigures, which in a lot of sets are the most exciting part. In this new wave of Harry Potter, that hasn't always been the case in sets like the Burrow and the Astronomy Tower, but it has been in other sets such as the Forbidden Forest. In this set, it's a very much a mixed bag. Starting with these first 3 and 2 owls, here we have, from left to right, a Hogwarts delivery owl, Ronald Weasley, Harry Potter, Hedwig, and Aunt Petunia Dursley. The Hogwarts Delivery Owl is, to my eye, the same design of owl that they made in the 2010 Harry Potter line, and that appeared in a small amount of sets, including the Hogwarts Express, Hogwarts Castle, Diagon Alley, and I believe it also appeared in Hagrid's Hut from 2010, so it's great to see that design return, and here you can also just get a better look at how the sign is designed. Ron is just the same figure from the Hogwarts Whomping Willow set. Harry is the same figure from that set, just with different pants. Yeah, when this set was designed to be on shelves, when the Whomping Willow was off shelves, that goes beyond just the car, because the figures that go with the car are also just the same from that set, which is, I mean, it's not inaccurate, but it is unfortunate in my opinion. And I know that they wanted to include Ron, because he's a more major character, but I think this would have been so much more interesting if they'd included Fred and George in his stead, if they had to include the car, or, as I'll get to in a minute, I honestly think that maybe the set would have been better if they had based it on a different film and not included the car or Ron and Dobby at all, but more on that later. Hedwig is the new flying design that's coming in a good amount of sets this year, and I think it looks pretty fantastic with the outstretched wings, even if it is a bit odd how it's really just a perched Hedwig, just with the wings outstretched. This is not what a flying owl looks like, trust me. Or alternatively, you don't have to trust me, you could just look at the upcoming buildable Hedwig set. That's pretty much what a flying owl looks like. But I think of these five, the star of this panel is Petunia Dursley, who is a really good-looking figure. Now, I should note that this set may be primarily based on Chamber of Secrets, but this figure is actually taken from the Prisoner of Azkaban, going by that outfit, which has a fantastic new torso print. That looks wonderful and just very detailed. Her face is a very good likeness. I am not sure whether it will be double-sided or not, but I imagine that it will be a double-sided print, since she is quite a major character, but that is a new face print, which is good. And she also gets a new hairpiece, where it's the hairpiece that they've used a good amount in this theme at this point. They used it in light gray for the Trolley Witch, they used it in reddish-brown for Umbridge, they used it in nougat for Queenie. This is its first time appearing in dark brown, though. So yeah, that is a really good figure. Might be my favorite of this set. And moving on to the other three figures, we have from left to right, Uncle Vernon Dursley, Dudley Dursley, and Dobby. Here we can also get a better look at the new design for the letters for 2020, which is just the 2019 design, but on white instead of light tan, which I find to be an improvement. And the pudding is a simple build. But with the minifigures, Vernon is, I mean, he's not bad, but he's also pretty far from great. For a few reasons. Number one, his torso is not a new print, and it's also not a very accurate print. Because, firstly, I feel as though Uncle Vernon is a big enough character to warrant getting a new torso print. He's a pretty big character in the movies, especially in the first three. But even if they couldn't give him a new torso print, he never really wears anything resembling this sweater in the movies. And it's also a bit weird because there is an outfit that already exists as a torso that would work quite well, which is in the Philosopher's Stone in some scenes, such as when he's nailing up the mail slot. He's wearing a lighter tan sweater that is pretty much identical to the design that we got in originally the old fishing store, where it's the light tan sort of patterned sweater design. So that torso, if you know what I'm talking about, would have worked pretty much perfectly. But this torso, it's not accurate. It's not really in style. It's a much older print as well, so it doesn't even have back printing. Kind of a miss there. And then the hair color is just weird. It should be dark tan, I feel. Maybe light gray would work for, Order of the Phoenix, But for Philosopher's Stone and Chamber of Secrets, I think dark tan would have worked so much better, especially since the light tan hairpiece he has here, that's a new color. This is the first time this piece has appeared in light bluish gray. But in dark tan, that piece has existed for several years at this point, so it would have made the figure cheaper to produce, LEGO, come on. But at the very least, his face print is a good likeness to the actor, and it will be double-sided, since he has this more aggressive face, but we do know that he will have a more jolly expression as well. Next to him we have his son Dudley, who, much like Petunia, we have only seen one facial expression from, but again, I would be quite surprised if this is all we get. Dudley's hair is fine. I mean, ideally it would be a darker color. I feel as though the Emmett hair in dark brown would have been really great, not only for accuracy's sake, but also because that would be really great to have on my sig fig, but anyway. And again, I feel as though, obviously, if they kept Vernon's hair in dark tan, meaning that they would have an extra recolor frame, they could have used that on Dudley, but oh well, it still looks fine. His face print is a bit funky looking, honestly. Like, I don't really get the expression they're going for. His torso is really accurate, though, to the first movie. This is what he wears during the birthday scenes, and as well as at the zoo in the Philosopher's Sorcerer's Stone. So, it's a good figure overall, and I feel as though, like, Petunia's the best, Dudley's pretty good, Vernon's alright. And then we have Dobby, a figure who, he's just a worse version of the CMF. The torso print is just the CMF, but probably just with less crisp lines. The legs are the exact same, and the face print is just funky. Like, I feel like they should have included a frowning Dobby. That would have worked so much more. Just any other expression, but like an angry, sad, just like a frowning Dobby, I feel, would have worked the best. Because this is just, he looks weird. He looks really weird, in my opinion. So overall, I think I've complained about this set a fair amount, but don't get me wrong, I do really like this set, but it's far from perfect. Starting with the car, again, I get it, because kids might not have the Whomping Willow set, and they're gonna want the car to reenact scenes from the movie, but in my opinion, if you're going to include the car, you could do a much better job than this. Like, either A, redesign it so you could have two figures sitting side by side, or B, if you're not going to try to redesign it and you're just going to include it for the sake of play and nothing else, why not just downsize it? Use like a 4-stud wide car so you're not using up as many pieces so you could put more into the house. But the house build itself is really good, and I don't really have any major complaints for that. So the car is an issue, and then the figures. Harry and Ron are just boring, Dobby's quite bad, and, well, I think Petunia and Dudley are really good. Vernon is a bit of a letdown with that reused torso and the just straight-up wrong hair color. But can I recommend this set for $70? Yeah, I think that's a fair deal. I mean, the set does have almost 800 pieces, although a lot of those do go just into the roof with how many parts go into it, so take that as you will. But, yeah, this is a pretty good set, I feel. Maybe if you have the Whomping Willow and you already have the Ford Anglia and those figures, and especially if you have the Whomping Willow and the CMF Dobby figure, then maybe wait for this set to go on special. I'm not going to. I'm getting the set day one, because I'm just getting all of the Harry Potter sets, and this is still a good set. But, yeah, I do feel as though this is a lesser set than some of the others. And hate to leave this video off on a bit of a downer, so, really like that Petunia figure, and this set has a phenomenal interior. Like, honestly, probably, well, no, the Burrow might have the best interior, but this definitely has the most spacious. But the burrow does have some rooms I think are kind of poor, like Ginny and Ron's room, so I'd put this on par with the burrow in terms of interior, and in terms of exterior, this is a very nice house design, even if you're not a fan of Harry Potter. So yeah, I guess the goal is that while some of the other aspects might be a bit disappointing, the point of this set is number 4 Privet Drive, the main house, the main structure, and that is fantastically done. So, thank you all so much for watching this video, and since my channel's pretty close to 1,000 subscribers, if you like this video, and my other videos, why not subscribe to show your support? I mean, actually, I feel as though that should be relatively just common knowledge, but figured I might as well say it. But, for right now, this is Retro Brick Reviews, signing off.